afternoon, Living Church. How are we doing? We're having fun, we laughing, we enjoying ourselves. I have never seen such an intense game of Shoulders Knees Cup in all my life, and I don't think I ever will. Man, there's a message there waiting to be preached right there. Man, I'm so glad to be hanging out with you guys today. If I haven't had the chance and the opportunity to meet you, my name is Maximiliano Striplin, but most people just call me Max. Feel free to call me Max or Maximiliano if you can call me Maximiliano. Thank you and congratulations for being able to say that. Man, we are so honored. Our Spark fam, our students, and I are very honored to be sharing the stage. And before we really start, I just want to say thank you to our pastor, Pastor Trustin Baba. What's so great about him is that he empowers the next generation to take on the stage, that they can lead, that they can lead us in the presence of God, that presence of God that you experienced in worship was from students. There were 2 middle schoolers on this stage. I don't know if you know that, but they were leading us in the presence of the Lord, and it's just so powerful. But what's super awesome is that our lead pastor was once a youth pastor for several years, so he understands the importance of youth ministry. And what's also crazy is that I have a few youth pastor friends myself that are in the same age or a little bit older than me, and when I told them about what was happening today, you might as well have believed I told them I got $1 million, because seriously, it is such an opportunity and a blessing to share with you what God is laying on the student's heart here at Living Church. Today I want to communicate 2 things that we believe here as a church and as a staff. And the first thing that we believe is that we believe in the next generation. We believe in the next generation, that your students, your kids, will one day be the ones who hold the keys to this church. That they will one day be the pillar upon which this church stands. That it will be able to be healthy and grow because of your students. And so, because we believe in the next generation, that's why we have events like the block party we had last month, where we had 123 people in attendance. We had 49 first-time guests, and we had 11 decisions made to follow Jesus. That is a big deal. Those are numbers that matter because those numbers have a name. And because we open up our doors every Wednesday, it's possible that throughout the summer we don't close our doors, but instead we open them wide open and we actually ramp up for what God's wanting to do. We also believe in the next generation, in your 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, that we care about them. At the beginning of this year, our staff met together to brainstorm and discuss some things that were happening this year. And we felt a need for your 4th, 5th, and 6th graders to have a home, to have a place where they could grow and get connected, that they would not be lost in the family of God. And so we created what is now Suite 456. And our very own Parker Brown right here in the front, who led you in the games, helps lead that team there. And for me, I understand that whenever I was in the 5th grade going into 6th grade, I got lost. And for some of us, when we go into the 6th grade, when your students go into the 6th grade, it's easy for them to feel disconnected or afraid when they come into a new environment. But what we're creating is an environment transition so that they can find a place here at Living Church where they can meet leaders that are part of Spark Youth Ministry so that they can get connected. And when they walk in those doors on a Wednesday night, they would feel like they're walking into their own home. And that's our heart. And so we've created Suite 456, and it's an environment that just is helping them grow. And lastly, we believe in the next generation by giving of our resources. The big events and the small events and even the weekly budget that we have to make these services happen on a weekly basis. And even this building that we're sitting in right now, that we get to meet in on a Wednesday, which it wasn't always like that. If you've been following our church or if you've been with us, we used to meet at different places that weren't even our own. And so on a Wednesday night and on a Sunday morning, we met at 2 different places. But now we have a place to call our home. We have a central location where we get to meet on a Wednesday night to grow in community, to grow friendships, and to talk about Jesus. And we're grateful for that. We also believe in the next generation by giving of our resources and our pastors, that our executive pastor, Whitney Barth, and Tim Horton, our associate pastor, that's right, show them some love. They both had the opportunity and gave of their time to come and speak at Spark on a Wednesday night. That we had a series called At the Movies, talking about things learned from popular movies. And you know what? They could have been doing anything else. Our very own Pastor Tim and his wife Beth actually just had a baby. And so they were here hanging out with us because they know the value and the investment of our youth ministry. And so them giving their time on a Wednesday night, but even in preparation throughout the week, but then beyond that, them opening up their homes to let students and leaders come and hang out with them, that they would give up their time to talk through whatever they're going through, to have fun and hang out with them, that's a big deal. And also, for any life group home openers, thank you that every other Sunday our youth ministry gets to meet on a Sunday night and talk and grow about the things that we're learning, to create disciples of these students, to make them into men and women of God. So thank you homeowners, thank you home openers for allowing your place to be a place that our students can grow, because I promise you, it's making a difference. Even whenever we stay a little bit later than we're supposed to, even whenever we raid your pantry, I promise you, it's so worth it because we're seeing them change the world. The second thing that we believe as a church is that youth ministry is the greatest evangelistic arm of the church. It's the greatest evangelistic arm of the church. You know, for me, when a student comes to know Christ, it's not only their friend that they reach, but it's the family that they reach. You know, I can think of several stories, and specifically 2 stories, of a student here, Christian Nava, who's sitting right there, who came to Living Church and came to Spark and gave his life to Christ, and right after giving his life to Christ would soon reach his whole family, all his brothers and his parents. And now they not only love Jesus, but they serve faithfully on a week-to-week basis, making this happen. That because of one student, one soul, one life that decided to make a decision. But I also think about Parker Brown here, who throughout the years was a student and now is a leader. And what's crazy is that his life throughout the years would eventually lead his parents to come to know to Jesus. But what's also crazy, what's also super awesome is that if you were here for Baptism Sunday, you got to witness his very own parents get baptized. When life was going the opposite end, he decided to stand in the midst, and his family is now transformed because of it. And so I hope you understand why I believe that youth ministry is a big deal, because your students and the students of Mansfield can make a big change in this world. But with that being said, it hurts my heart a little bit to know that the greatest mission field is not being reached, and that's our high schools. That's our schools here in Mansfield. You know, as some of our leaders and I have had the opportunity to go and visit Legacy High School and Mansfield High School, you know what I wish I saw more of? I wish I saw more youth pastors there. But you know what? I think that's what distinguishes us from other churches. That we're not just a lot of talk, but we walk the walk. That we put our money where our mouth is. We don't just talk about what we believe, but we act on what we believe. And so being there twice a week, 3 times a week, on a weekly basis, seeing these students get encouraged and uplifted, knowing that we're not just telling them to do something, but we're in the trenches with them, doing ministry with them, reaching their friends, and seeing how they are changing the community because of their outreach, because of them talking to their friends. You know, students are exposed to probably hundreds, if not thousands, of people on a daily basis. And I know for me, I can go a whole day without really even connecting with 10 people. I know for some of you in this room, that might be the same case, that they have an environment that's fertile for growth. I mean, I'm telling you, if there was ever a time where sowing and reaping was an analogy worth talking about, it's there in Mansfield High School. It's there in Legacy High School. It's there in Summit High School. It's all these high schools that are fertile ground to see crop come up. That God is wanting to do something, and I think our students can play a very important role in all of that. Acts 1:8 says this, "You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." You know, we often get so fascinated and fixated by global missions, and I think it's very important, don't get me wrong. But I think there's also something here that we lose track of, and he says, "You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem." This is our Jerusalem. This is our mission field. that our students have been given an opportunity to reach their friends. And so we want to encourage them. We want to empower them. We want to tell them that they can do it. Because I promise you, if we would just get that part right, we would see the greatest evangelistic arm of the church reach further than it's ever reached before. And I believe that for our generation. So that's why we're passionate about seeing young evangelists rise. That's why we're passionate about seeing our youth lead us in worship on a Sunday morning. That we didn't just do this because it was a good idea. We did this because we believe in the power that these students have. That they have an ability to share their gifts and talents. You know, I've been doing a little research on this generation, which is called Generation Z. And the thing that distinguishes them from other generations is that they are publishers. They are publishers. And what does that mean? I think you might have seen it on Instagram whenever they post their selfies or they tell stories on Instagram. But what it really means is that they're wanting to use their gifts and talents that God has given them for something. And so what are we doing if we're not letting those talents and gifts be used by the church and for the glory of God? So today, I want to just highlight one of our students whose stories and talents and gifts are being used. Check out this video.
My darling, my precious darling, stand up, lift your head and wipe your tears. Do not let them put out your fire and do not put it out yourself. It is by His will. He makes beauty out of ashes. They do not deserve your tears, nor does the enemy. I understand. I once tried to shed pounds the way I shed tears when I was trying to create an ocean. I forgot how vast an ocean is. I remember when I realized I had no love left for myself. I remember when I realized I had lost respect for myself. Waking up in the mornings and realizing I had not gone through metamorphosis and that was the same me as last night was the hardest thing. Loving yourself is hard. Ignoring other people's opinion is hard. I understand. But the enemy's voice lingering in the back of your head telling you that you will never be good enough for them, for him, for yourself is not true. Because you have a God exalted over all else. Kneeling changes from giving up to giving thanks. That your body is a temple created in the image of God. That He knows the hairs on your head. And that He spoke you into existence before existence existed. I understand. It's easier said than done. But we have the power to speak things into existence. People often underestimate the power of prayer, but did you know that hell fears the weakest Christian on their knees? It's because they know what we can do. The power we have walking with Christ is so strong that no one else's opinions matter. I understand. But Jesus is a synonym for saved and accepted, for freed and delivered, so that when the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy the hope, love, and joy that God has promised you, he can't take it. I understand. But you are so much stronger than you think you are. You are David against Goliath. You are Daniel in the lion's den. You see yourself as small and worthless, like 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. But Jesus sees you as something so much more, so much that He multiplies you to feed the thousands. I understand. Loving yourself is hard. Do you realize loving Him is easy?
Good.
Come on, somebody.
So good.
Whew. Should have let her preach. Okay, let's keep going then. Hey, we're so glad that you're hanging out with us today. We have some of our students here in the panel. You know, if we could have brought all 70 students on stage, we would have, but we couldn't. So here's 6 that we love a lot. So we're going to ask you a few questions. First, we're just going to clarify a few things, you know, just so you guys are all on the same page here in the room. We're going to say a few terms, ask a few questions about things you may have been hearing, but you have no idea what they mean. So, first of all, let me ask this question. Wait, sorry, I didn't even introduce them. Let's introduce from left to right. Here we go.
All right, I'm Kayla Frederick. I go to Mansfield High School, and I'm in 11th grade.
I'm Maddie Noblet. I go to Danny Jones, and I'm in the 8th grade.
I'm McKinley Barth, and I am in the 7th grade, and I go to Western Middle School.
I'm Michael Harris. I'm in 11th grade, and I go to Mansfield.
I'm Zach Rudd. I'm 11th grade, and I go to Mansfield as well.
I'm Easton Barth. I'm in 9th grade, and I go to Mansfield High.
Awesome. All right, let's ask these questions. First of all, what does the word bae mean? And if someone refers to you as their bae?
All right, so bae is kind of like, it's like a girl, you know what I'm saying? Or you guy, you be like, oh, that's my bae over there. Yeah, I see you, girl.
Okay, okay.
Oh, but it also,
or bacon and eggs.
yeah,
I
that
mean,
blew my mind.
Okay, there we go. Bacon and eggs. What does it mean if something is low key?
It's kind of secret. It's kind of on the down low. Don't want a lot of people knowing, like small circle stuff. It's like if you and someone are like dating, but you don't want a lot of people to know. It's low key.
But don't keep it low key. Keep it major high key. Tell everybody, okay? Don't be keeping that secret, yo. We'll find out, trust me.
Honestly, low key, like that's what it was at first. Now it's kind of turning into like, hey, that's low key cool, but like that doesn't mean keep it on the low. That means like
Right. It
tell
means, like,
everybody it's
super
cool.
cool.
So I don't really know how to
Right.
explain it, but
Okay, next one. If you say someone's eyebrows are on fleek, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, it's definitely a good thing. Unless you're referring to my mom, how she likes to say on fleet with a T. It's not what it is, but it works.
Yikes.
But it means like on point. It's like perfect, perfection.
Okay. So most of you in the room here know what LOL means, right? Okay, good. Laugh out loud, just in case.
Lots of laughter.
Lots of laughter, lots of love. But what today is the modern day term for LOL? How do people say laughing super hard?
I'm dead.
Ooh, yikes. Okay.
Hashtag rehearse.
I'm dead, all right. And the last one is, what is a popular saying that you say that you would want everyone in the room to start saying?
fuego. I mean, okay, it means fire in Spanish. Yeah, that's right. Took Spanish in high school. Help me out. All right. No, but it really, fuego is kind of more just like, oh, that's cool. It's going to be fun kind of thing. So, like, for example, be like, oh, yeah, tonight's party, it's going to be fuego. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. You got to come.
Christian
So-
parties.
Yeah, Christian party.
Christian
We're talking,
parties.
Yes.
talking about the pool
Trust
party.
me,
In
we're
love
not.
Tonight,
God.
pool party, 6 to 9.
Bible
There you
study.
go.
Plug.
Sell out.
Sparkies.
All right, this next round of questions are just thumbs up, thumbs down, speed round. We're just going to ask some questions. Male rompers. Oh, gosh. All right, baggy jeans. They're out. Thank you. Taylor Swift.
Old Taylor Swift, new Taylor
It's that
Swift.
new Taylor Swift.
But like,
Okay, Justin Bieber.
He loves God.
That's right. All right, this is an easy one. Twisted Root Burgers. Pay no attention to Michael.
Void Michael. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right, last one. Facebook. The people have spoken. All right, this one's an either or. So you got to pick one or the other, all right? Music or movies?
Music.
Okay. Twitter or Instagram?
Instagram.
Instagram.
Taco Bell or Taco Bueno? It's
Bueno.
all about that bell. Hillsong worship or elevation worship?
Or
Definitely both.
Can't do
Elevation.
both. Chocolate or vanilla?
vanilla.
Vanilla.
Chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry?
Strawberry.
It's all
Vanilla.
about that strawberry. Buffalo Wild Wings or Wingstop?
B-Dub.
Wingstop.
Wingstop.
Okay. This one's free. Brahms or Cold Stone Creamery?
Brahms.
It's always been about Brahms. It's so cheap, guys. And this one's the most heated, debated. I mean, stay calm, stay in your seats. Laurel or Yanni?
Laurel.
Laurel.
Laurel. It is Laurel.
Laurel.
Okay,
Laurel.
okay,
It's
okay.
Laurel with a high frequency.
Oh, we
Oh
won't
my
talk about it anymore.
Laurel.
All right, now for the real questions, the hard hitters you've been waiting for. All right, you ready?
Too ready almost.
Okay. What is your favorite? Well, good thing you're first. What is your favorite part about Spark?
My favorite part about Spark is making new friends and meeting new people. For the last couple of weeks at Spark, we've had many first-time guests come in on a Wednesday looking to make new friends, and I'm happy to say that the 6 of us and 7 of us with Max, we all look to make new friends with our first-time guests, and we try to acclimate them to what we get to do here. We have fun. We have fun even on Sundays, and that's something we want them to be a part of. So for our first-time guests, we want them to to be friends with everybody that they come in contact with at Spark. So after service, we go to Chick-fil-A every week. We follow up on our relationships that we made that week maybe, and we just get to know the people more and get to know people better to hang out.
That's awesome. You know, Easton, I've heard a few stories from your parents about how when you first started coming to Spark, you actually did not want to come to Spark.
That is very true. And I may have or may not have cried a few times.
I think he just missed his sister, you know?
Aww. Yikes.
Well, no. No, but yeah, my parents, they didn't force me. They pushed me. They pushed me to get here on a Wednesday. And that really influenced a lot of what I do here. Because I was pushed to go to Spark on a Wednesday, I get to play drums most every Wednesday and a lot of the time on Sunday. And I get to help out with a lot here at Living Church. And that's all because of going to Spark and being pushed to go. Like, because I would not have gotten to do what I do now if it wasn't for my parents pushing me. So adults with kids, make your kid come. We will make friends with them, and they will be acclimated. So just make them come.
Easton's super humble because he like helps me out. He helps me out on like a weekly basis. He's more than just a drummer or photographer. He's like a social media manager basically sometimes, and he just does just random stuff. He basically just says yes to anything I ask him to do, and so I'm very grateful for him. But it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for some parents who push their students.
That's true.
Next question, why do you come to Spark?
Okay. I come to Spark because it is such a great place for me to be with my community and other kids that are my age. And it's really nice for me to be able to worship with kids who have similar problems and passions as me. It's a lot easier for me to talk to kids my age than people who are like older than me or younger than me. It's a lot more difficult for me. But I think Wednesday church, Spark, is just so great because it's so awesome to get to become close and make family and friends out of the people who have or share faith with you and go to church with you all the time. So I think it's just such an awesome place to come every Wednesday.
That's awesome. Could you tell us of a time that your life was changed at Spark and explain that?
So about 4 years ago, there was an event called Spark Out. Yeah. And we were worshiping, and not gonna lie, I cried a couple times. And that was actually the night I got saved and gave my life to Christ. So, yeah. But in that worship, that time of worship, I felt God's presence, and it was a peace that I've been longing for and a comfort that I needed. And so that's, if you know anything about me, actually, I really love worship music now. And it's because of that moment that I had with the Holy Spirit. It was a connection made. So now every time that I do worship, I think about that time whenever I was in 7th grade, just a little dude trying to worship and everything. And yeah, but it changed me because now that's what I want for other kids. What God did in me that night, he can do in others.
That's so cool. That's the reason. Stories like that. That's why we do big events.
Yeah.
That's why we give our time and our energy and our resource, because we believe that a story like that can change everything. What is a lesson that you can't forget that you've learned while being here at Spark?
Yeah, so, despite being in high school or in middle school, like, God can use us, despite our age, to do something so amazing and just so much bigger than we could ever imagine for ourselves. Yeah. And like the verse 1 Timothy 4:12 says, don't let anyone look down on you because you're young, but set an example for believers. And, God wants us to start now. He wants us to start our ministry now, and he wants us to go into action and to just like push others, and he wants us to do brave things. And like being a part of Spark, like they push you to use your gifts, whether it's on the worship team or whether it's speaking or on the media team or taking pictures or, whatever it is. Spark allows you to use your gifts, to the gifts that God's given you to pursue the calling that he has for you.
That's super awesome. We kind of talked about it earlier and talked about how like in the summer we actually ramp up in the summer. Some churches kind of slow down, but instead we ramp up. And one of the things that we like to do over the summer is camp. And so one of the questions that I have for us is that why do you think camp is so important? Why do you think everybody should come?
Well, there's no doubt that everybody should come because, like, it's the best week of your entire life. For me, I go because I can, it's fuego. It is fuego. For me, I go because I can talk to a bunch of students that just know what I know. They are striving and they're reaching for the same thing, which is a deeper relationship with God. And as Pastor Cheston and everyone here always say, going to camp is 1 year of spiritual growth in a week. And it's so true. Like, I think all of us from going to camp have realized that camp just, it empowers you. There's new worship, a new speaker, a new message, new things to learn. And it just gives you a new understanding of God and new things that God has for you. So when we go, we take what we learned there and we bring it back here and we apply it to our everyday life. So we learn how to treat our parents better. We learn how to treat our family better and the people around us better. And it just, it's really empowering. And it's something that I wouldn't ever want to miss. So I don't know why any other student would. So if you have a student in here and they're not signed up for camp, you better get them signed up for camp because it's going to be the best week of their life.
That's right. You heard her. Something else that we're doing over the summer is going on a mission trip to Atlanta, Georgia. And so one of my questions is, why are you going on a mission trip this year?
Yeah, so I'm going on a mission trip this year because I wanted to go the past 2 years. I've either been too young or timing didn't work out or anything like that. But this year I'm able to go, and so the reason that I'm really going is just to spread God's love and spread the gospel. We're able to go into communities and able to help them out with the help that they wouldn't be able to receive if it weren't for us. And we're able to show God's love not only by what we say, but by what we do. And we don't know any of these people, but they're able to see that we're helping them, and that makes them curious to wonder why we're doing that. And so we're able to spread the gospel with them in that way. And it says in Matthew 28:19, it says, "Go and make disciples of all nations." And so we're going to Atlanta, and we're going to make disciples of all nations. We're going to allow them to experience the Jesus that we know and that we love and that we worship so that they can have a relationship with him. And so I think that's the ultimate reason why we're going, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, so cool. What is something the Lord has been speaking to you since coming to Spark?
So I've only been going to Spark since the beginning of the school year, so about 8 or 9 months. But in that short time frame, God has revealed to me that the calling on my life is to go into ministry. And before coming to Spark, I would ask God, like, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to do after college? What am I supposed to do in college? But coming to Spark, and not only on Sundays, but on Wednesdays, to see such strong women that are in the leadership here has just been so encouraging, and just like to not only me but to every girl that attends Spark, just to see that there's a place for us in the church and we can come in and we can change lives and we can further God's kingdom.
Yeah, that's so good. I want to touch on one thing she said. She talked about how she's only been here for 8 or 9 months and she's already heard God kind of call her into ministry, right? What's so awesome is that how much more can happen if your students would just start coming from an early age. How much more God would want to speak to them, how much more God would want to reveal to them. And so that's why we created Suite 456, because we're not going to miss it. We don't want to miss it. We don't want them to miss it. And so we want to be with them from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade, from 1st to 5th, from 6th to 12th. We want to be with them the whole time because the Word of God and the voice of God wants to speak to them at a young age. Second to last question here. What has God been doing in your life?
God has been speaking so much love into my life, and it is so great because junior high is so difficult, and high school I know is going to be difficult, and he's just speaking to me and telling me that I'm loved and that I'm not alone through this, and it's going to be hard, but he's there to tell me that everything's going to be okay and that I'm loved so much and so dearly, and it's just so great that I'm loved by God.
Yeah. So I know, like, God's been revealing himself every day to me, but I feel like he's also revealing himself through me to others. I believe that we're all a light to somebody. And so, like, for example, at school, I try to bring up my relationship with Christ as much as possible. There's a certain class where we have to do debates and give speeches and everything, and then afterwards, they give us these like notes, and we have to write written affirmations to people. And mine always say like, "It's crazy how you talk about your relationship with Christ and all this stuff, and how brave you are." I'm just like, it should be something we're talking about every day. It shouldn't be a crazy thing. Colossians 4:6 says, "Let your conversations be full of grace. All conversations be full of grace. Seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." And that's just so important, because sometimes you don't always want to share your story, and it may be hard sometimes, it may be awkward, but it's worth it in the end. That person's life could be changed forever.
That's good. Anybody else?
I think for me, God's just been giving me opportunities that I never thought were imaginable. I serve in kids, and it's so empowering to watch 5-year-olds lifting their hands during worship and watching the message and learning so much from it, and then being able to be someone that they look up to. It's crazy, to think about that, because they're not that much younger than I am, and they're my family. It's so empowering. And then I come up here on Wednesdays and on Sundays, and I sing. Sometimes I sing. I mean, I don't. Sorry. I do worship, and I lead some of the students in worship, and it's crazy. It's crazy to me that I get the opportunity to do that. But the devil tries to tell me. He tries to tell me that I didn't earn it and I don't deserve it. And he's right. I didn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. But God put me here for a reason. It says somewhere in 1 Peter, it says that use your God-gifted gifts and serve others, and that's what I'm doing. I'm serving others, and so I'm here for a reason.
Come on, somebody. Can I get a hand clap? All right. And our last question in our time together. Are you sad? I'm sad. Aw, that's it. Our last question we got is, if you could say one thing to the parents, one single thing, one thing to the parents, what would that be?
One thing to you guys would be thank you. Thank you for providing your time, your energy, providing financially. We had a big event this last month, block party. We had a whole bunch of adult volunteers. They helped out all around here on a Wednesday, and it's inspiring to see them help kids serve and to encounter God, because they've already done this. They've been a teenager. I mean, no one's grown to be 34 and they're just born, but they've all been teenagers before, and so they're helping us encounter God on a Wednesday. And so I thank you guys again for providing that time and energy here on a Wednesday, and even to the ability of driving your kids and picking them up. Thank you for that. I don't drive yet. I'm 15. I still haven't even got my permit yet. So I'm with this guy, and I'm with Max. And I got to get to worship practice at 5 p.m. on a Wednesday. And so it's 4:59, and I'm calling Zach or Max, and I'm saying, it's 4:59. I got to get there. I got to go. Or I could just drive the golf cart, but that would not be safe. But yeah, thank you guys for driving your kids. Carpooling, it's a big thing for students, because when they invite their friends, it tells them and affirms them, yeah, I can invite my friends, and they're welcomed here to make new friends and to love God here at Spark. So thank you guys.
It's good.
Yeah, for me, I would just say believe in your kids. Whenever you guys believe in us, it's that much more encouraging, because, you're the people that we look up to. Whether we'll admit it or not, you're the people that we look up to, and you're the people that are above us. And so it means so much to us whenever you guys believe in us, and you guys let us know that you believe in us, and you believe in what God has called us to do, because we have big things for us, and it doesn't matter how old we are, but we have big things for us. And so you know, we speak things into existence. And so if you guys just speak those things into existence, that we are leaders, that we are brave, that we are bold, that we are loved and everything, it makes us inspired to continue to go where God has us to go. And, you know, it says, well, it doesn't say, but sorry. You know, you guys can either be our floor or our ceiling. You know, you can be our floor, our foundation where we walk on that we can keep going forward, or you can be our ceiling that hinders us from going higher from where we're at. And so be our floor, be our foundation to walk on.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, kind of going off like what Zach said, don't discourage your kids, you know, encourage them. If they have a huge calling, no matter what it is, if they want to be a doctor, if they want to go be a missionary, you know, whatever it is, it's so important that you encourage them, because like Zach said, like it just takes us even further. And sometimes it can be scary, you know, like because sometimes you'll think, well, how are they supposed to survive financially, or, you know, what are they supposed to do? But, you know, you just have to trust that like God's going to provide us with answers. He's going to provide us with open doors. He's going to provide us financially. You know, he's our promoter, and he's going to give us these open doors that we can go through. He's going to get us to people that we need to be with and places that we need to be. And God's our protection, because especially being in high school, there's so much sin and temptation that we can fall into. And God's going to protect our hearts, and even outside of high school and middle school, you know, God's going to protect us through everything, and he's going to carry us. And kind of another thing too is, you know, just pray for us, and just pray that we can stay out of those sins and temptations, and then pray that we'll be reminded that to trust him, and to trust that he's going to carry us where we need to be.
That's good. Can we give it up for them?